Hello and welcome everybody. Alex Jacques here, and we're here for the start of the Chasing Glory series by Xerox. The 2022 season starting off alongside F1 right here in Saga, Bahrain, as we just wrapped up the practice session for F2 before we head into qualifying to start out the racing weekend.
You are right, Alex. The drivers on the F2 grid look real promising this season. Crofty here, by the way. But it seems that a portion of our drivers this season are looking for a seat in F1. Max becoming champion against Hamilton has stirred the pot, so to speak. And I am definitely interested in the looks of Johnson with Virtuosi. He won the F3 championship last season and shouldn't have any trouble adjusting to the new machinery he will be driving this season. But let's get on with qualifying, shall we?
Grid is all set for the race tomorrow, but before we go, let's quickly remind ourselves of our top three, which are Lawson, Phipps, Logan Sargent. Goodbye for now then, but we really are just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow. Hello and welcome from the Bahrain International Circuit here in Sakhir. Down on the grid, the engineers are making their last checks, and today's race will be underway shortly. Plenty of opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit for these young F2 drivers to show what they can do. The best passing opportunity right up there at turn 1, and we should see plenty of action there. But there's another not long after at turn 4. There are 9 right-handers and 6 left-handers, and the possibility that we could see some flat spots at the tightest of those left-handers, that's turn 10. Davide, you're a 3-time winner around here in 1 week, I believe, back in 2012. How on earth do you make the tyres last around this track? They degrade so quickly.
To be honest, the key to the race is having a good start so you can get your car into a good position. Then save the tires as much as you can and push just at the end.
The formation lap gets underway for this, the Formula 2 race, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure the car is ready for battle once the lights go out. We are almost ready to start the Formula 2 race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Hello and welcome everybody to a change of scenery here. Dropping back to F2, the 22 season here on F123. And then in F124, we're going to be doing the 2023 season of F2 and then carry on to F124, the 24 season. So it'll be 2 seasons of F2 as our 5 red lights are coming on, starting in P20 for the sprint race here in Bahrain. Side by side with Sato as Darula is ahead, and we're off to an okay start. Could have been way better, but we aren't used to the F2 cars as much as I wish I was, but we're trying to push up positions here. We have Vesti on the inside, and that's, I believe, Novalak on the outside, turn 1. Slotting up into P18. We're coming up through our first DRS zone, not till lap 3. You notice we are in the Alpine Academy with the helmet, and then the blue Virtuosi racing livery. Is looking forward to it. A couple too wide there coming through the S's as we have a few drivers behind us. And we're going to be starting in P20 back for the main feature race. I believe that's 16 laps instead of the 12 for the sprint, but it's going to be 50% race distance with a 30-minute and 45-minute practice session, short quali feature or sprint and feature throughout the season. So we're wrapping out the first lap. We're only about just under 6 tenths behind Vessi for P17.
That's 2 places up from the starting grid. Finish settling in, then work your magic.
Copy. Got some radio action going there with the... I'm just going to stick with the custom PNGs. The custom graphics pretty much. Keeping my own thing and then using ElevenLabs for the radio and other voices that you guys hear. As lap 5 now, we have Daruvula behind us as we're looking to try and defend against him. I have Daruvula attacking. What should I do?
Be smart about defending. We still have a lot of race to go.
And working on through this first episode, I feel okay with the radio communications. We'll have to figure out what we can do to enhance the realism for those radio messages and so on and so forth. I don't believe I have DaVinci Resolve or whatever I need for the F1 graphics, but I will definitely look into that for into the near future. As lap 11 now, towards the end of the sprint race, we're still trying to make a move on Vesti. 2 laps to go here, about a lap and a half to go. Make a dive bomb on the inside of Vesti, and we hold on to that position. These hard tires are really starting to feel it. As we have about 8 tenths behind Novalak there for P16. But unfortunately, we are nowhere close to any points, but we're still going to be trying to fight for it. As we're staying in the tow as best as possible to Novalak there in P16. You can see us in the blue car, the number 3 car here, as we're coming up to the left-hander. And about a lap to go here, as we're turning onto the main straight to the pretty much wrap out the end of the race.
Great fight there at the end. That's P17.
That's a decent start. Let's get it.
Brilliant stuff from Trident today. What a superb victory. Tell me, Davide, what was the key to this success?
This race, this win, was about one thing and one thing only: consistency. Anyone can be quick for just 1 lap, but there's a difference between that and being quick every lap, over and over and over. If you can do that, if you can gain ground when your opponents make mistakes, but then not make mistakes on your own, you can just push and push.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be Trident picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for coming out on top in that amazing race. Hello and welcome from the Bahrain International Circuit here in Sakhir. Down on the grid, the engineers are making their last checks, and today's race will be underway shortly. Bahrain represents an exceptional 3.36 miles of racing. Lots of opportunities to overtake throughout its 15 corners. Now, this track has built a reputation for being brutal on the rear tyres, so keep an eye on how these young drivers manage their rubber. Strategy here could ultimately determine the winner of the race. We are nearly ready for the start of today's race, but in the meantime, let's take a look at the grid. Liam Lawson lines up on pole position. And starting alongside in P2 is Yuri Vips. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sargent, Hauger, Marcus Armstrong, Awasa, Dragovic, Caldwell, Williams, Jake Hughes, Verschoor, Fittipaldi, Frederick Vesti, Amory Cordial, and Nissani, Calderon, Porcher, and Jan Deruvala. Sato, Johnson, Novalak, and Ralph Boschon completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. In the commentary box of the big race today, I'm Alex Jakes, and joining us once again, it's Davide Valsecchi. Davide, as well as being the 2012 GP2 champion, you also have experience as a test driver in F1. What would you say are the biggest differences for people fresh to the world of F2?
Well, Alex, I think it's an exciting time in Formula 2 right now. For spectators, a lot of excitement comes from all the drivers being in the same car. That puts the emphasis on driver skills, meaning lots of overtakes, which means exciting race for us.
The formation lap gets underway for this, the Formula 2 race, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure the car is ready for battle once the lights go out. We are almost ready to start the Formula 2 race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
All right, as we come up for the feature race, sliding into our grid position for the feature race, back to P20, as that is the format for F2 in the 2022 season. And no points in the sprint, but we are looking to try and get some points, fight for some points here. Novalak behind me, Boschon, I probably butchered the name, Sato Deruvala around us once again on the soft tires this time. We're moving to the right side of Deruvala, I believe it was, and cutting back over to the left side. You can see the dust getting kicked up here. It's a little bit brighter than it was for the sprint, because we're making a strong move on the outside of turn 1. Going to be Iwasa and Hauger ahead of us in the Dams and the Carlin cars, as we're trying to stay within the tow. Maybe go 3 wide on the inside, try to make up a few more positions. We're side by side with Hauger, or Iwasa there, side by side, and Hauger ahead of us in P9. So coming up to the start of Sector 2, we're already up into P10. We made up 9-10 positions already on that first move on turn 1. As we try to brake late like we used to for F1. We're going to have to change a lot of our tactics here running F2. As we are in the top 10, so I believe it's points. I could be wrong. I have to look into the regulations for F2. That's less than 4/10 behind Hauger here, and we're only halfway through the first lap. So I'm feeling pretty confident on these soft tires compared to the hard tires that we had for the sprint race. That's Fittipaldi and Awasa behind us for P11 and P12. As we have Lawson, Sargent, Vips, Williams, Caldwell, Armstrong, Dragovic, Verschoor, and Hauger ahead of us for our top 12, pretty much, as we round out the end of the first lap.
That was a very risky move there, back on turn 1, but we will take it. For now, just make sure to take care of the car, please.
A little bit of directive there from our team radio, as we're moving on to lap 3, and we're still trying to close in on Hauger. We're going to have the momentum. End of lap 3, we're going to actually have DRS here, trying to make a move. The Fittipaldi Iwasa still behind us, trying to make a move on the inside. 4 laps on these soft tires. We're going to be running a 2-stop strategy today for the feature race with how the compounds work in F2. Side by side with Hauger coming up to the DRS line. And it's going to be Caldwell at the end of this lap, actually, with the first DNF of the season for the F2 grid. You can see Armstrong passes there, Dragovic as well. and hesitating, coming over the curb there, and we're going to be right there behind. Jumping over to us, you can see there on the right, Caldwell off to the side, plenty off, and that's only going to be a virtual safety car. Not enough for a full safety car for the F2 season, as it's going to be 21 drivers remaining, as we're just under halfway through, about a third of the way through the season, or our first race. So we made our way past Hauger, and now we're trying to make a move on Armstrong for P7. 2/10 with DRS, as DRS did reactivate after that virtual safety car, holding our line on the inside and making our way up into P7 against Armstrong. So we are running pretty good as of right now in the virtuosi car, as we still have yet to pit. Pit entry.
All right, team's ready for you. Just watch the entry speed.
Some information from the team there. Entry speed, I did turn that setting off, the pit entry lane safety issue there, as I was surprised to see that we actually got double stopped with our teammate of Sato. So very unfortunate for them. They could have gained some positions, well needed positions for the team and for themselves, as a lot of people coming in on this lap, I believe lap 9. The end of lap 9 started lap 10. I could be wrong, but we're coming out onto the track, and we're running for another set of softs.
All right, Jack, I'm not usually here for F2. So fill me in on what your thoughts are so far from this weekend for these drivers.
Well, it's nice to have you here, Crofty, and I must say, the drivers we have here for F2 this season are quite surprising. We have Vips, Lawson and Sargent, who ended up on the podium for the sprint, and they're showing great pace for this feature race.
What about Johnson, formerly an F3 champ and making a daring move into turn 1 at the start of this race earlier? I surely wasn't expecting any driver to make a move like that today.
Of course not. It's the first race of the season, but Johnson definitely has something worth proving. The jump from F3 to F2 isn't that much of a margin, unlike F2 to F1, as we actually hop back on board with him.
A little bit of words spoken here as we're coming on to lap 11, and as you can see, several cars coming out. Cordial, Fittipaldi, Armstrong just behind us as we're coming around turn 1. And so we went into the pits of P7, now we're only P9. Cordial there behind us, trying to close in on us, as we still have a second pit stop to go. And we're easily going to make that pit stop here at the end of lap 12. So P9 going in for a second pit stop, and if not all of the drivers are actually going to be coming in for their second pit stop. So we're going to be coming in for, I believe, our old set of hard tires. I don't know how the regulations work with the tire compounds. I don't remember if it was a newer set or not. But we're going to be running a short run. I believe it was the same set of hard tires from the sprint race. We're going to be back in P21, coming out of the pits on the start of lap 13 to see what kind of undercut we can perform on some of the other cars here. Coming on to lap 15, 2 laps later now, as we're still sitting in P1, looking to make a few positions. Sato, Novalak coming out of the pits, and then Beauchamp there in P19. Now you see the green wing of them. Rubla in the car that's still ahead of us in the P17. And then we have about 2 laps to go. Now the end of lap 15, we have some late pit stops coming out, as we have Nassani, Hauger, Armstrong, Hughes, Deruvula, and we're going to get ahead of Armstrong there for P15. And we're going to try to defend against Armstrong for the remainder of this lap, as you can see the back end starting to slip out for us here, as we're moving on to the end of the final lap. We're going to be actually first person there and checking our mirrors, and right there is going to be a puncture to our left rear, but we are still going to be able to manage P15 for our first race weekend of the season here on Bahrain. So not points, but it still is a decent finish.
So another fantastic victory for Carlin today. Davide, what do you think made the difference here?
This race, this win, was about one thing and one thing only: consistency. Anyone can be quick for just one lap, but there's a difference between that and being quick every lap, over and over and over. If you can do that, if you can gain ground when your opponents make mistakes, but then not make mistakes on your own, you can just push and push.
And there you have it, today's winners. Having raced some of the biggest names in F1 to date, Carlin have once again shown their expertise when it comes to recruiting new talent. No doubt today's winners have a bright future ahead of them. They certainly deserve it after today's performance. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. After an incredible performance, Liam Lawson secures the top spot in the Drivers' Championship. Now then, Davide Valsecchi, who would you say was your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Liam Lawson. One of the best things about Formula 2 is watching these young drivers grow and mature. And it feels like his career took a big step forward today.
And now a look at the team standings. Carlin moved to the top of the table. That's the end of today's race. Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure you'll agree it was a great race and sets us up nicely for the next installment in a few weeks' time. Take care. From Davide and I, it's goodbye.
All right, so there you have it. Episode 1 of our Chasing Glory series, season 1, the Prodigy. As the sprint weekend here in Bahrain in the 2022 is the year, technically, if we're playing this in F123. But yeah, current standing in P18. And I totally forgot that F2 doesn't run the same format that F1 does, starting in where you qualifying for both the sprint and the feature race. So yeah, we started P20 in the sprint and went up to P17. We had a better shot there at the beginning, trying to lunge for points, but it didn't really help us out. But we did have a better improvement getting up into P15 for the feature race. And that's going to be a race number 1 for our F2 career as a former F3 champ. Let's hope the next episode or next set of races do us a lot better. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.